It is Saturday morning. You are in the driveway, checking the oil in a 2011 pickup truck. The truck is 14 years old. It runs. That is all it needs to do. Your neighbor's driveway across the street has 3 vehicles in it, all newer than yours, all still being paid for. You wipe the dipstick with a rag. Good level. You close the hood. The truck is paid off. Has been for 9 years. Nobody asks about a truck that has been paid off for 9 years. People only ask about the shiny one still being financed. Your neighbor Derek walks over. He nods at your truck. He says, half joking, that you should treat yourself to something new. You say maybe someday. He gets into his leased SUV, the one with the payment due on the 4th of every month. He does not know your net worth. He assumes it is less than his lease. Derek is not a bad guy. He works hard. He just believes the SUV is a sign of arriving somewhere. It is not a sign of arriving. It is a sign of a monthly obligation for the next 4 years. You know this because you ran the math once, quietly for yourself. You go inside. Coffee. Not a machine with pods. A simple kettle and a jar of instant coffee you have used for 6 years. It works fine. It has always worked fine. The kitchen is clean, modest, unremarkable to anyone who walked in. You sit at the table. You open a laptop that is 7 years old. Slower than it used to be, but it opens the one page you check every Saturday morning. A brokerage account. A retirement account. A number that nobody in this neighborhood has ever seen. The number on the screen is $8,140,000. You look at it the way you look at the weather forecast. Useful information. Not a celebration. You close the laptop. You finish your coffee. You have yard work to do. Nobody on this street knows that number. Not Derek with his leased SUV. Not the neighbors with the boat in the driveway. Not anyone at the barbecue you will attend this afternoon. And that is not an accident. That has always been the plan. You are 22. Your first apartment. Your first real paycheck, $38,000 a year. Your college roommate Tony leases a truck the week after graduation. Says he earned it. You look at the payment. $540 a month for 6 years. You say nothing. You keep driving the car you bought for $4,200 cash. The used car is 9 years old. It has a dent near the door that has never been fixed. It starts every morning. It gets you to work. It does not have a payment. That single fact changes everything that happens over the next 30 years, though nobody watching would guess it. You make a rule at 22, written on a sticky note on the fridge. If you cannot pay cash for it, you do not buy it. Not a slogan. A rule. You do not tell anyone about the rule. You just follow it. Tony's truck payment is $540 a month. Your rule means you save $540 a month by default, because you are not paying it to anyone. You put half of it into an index fund. You put the other half toward a slightly better version of the same rule. Your credit card exists for one reason, the rewards points. It is paid in full every single month, automatically, no exceptions. You have never once carried a balance. You do not know what an interest charge on a credit card feels like. You have simply never allowed it to happen. At 24 you get a raise. $46,000 now. Tony gets a raise around the same time. He upgrades his apartment. New couch financed. New TV financed. You increase your investment transfer by the same amount the raise added. The apartment stays the same. The couch stays the same. Tony's new couch costs $1,900, financed at 0% for 18 months, which is not actually free, because the money not spent could have compounded instead. Nobody explains that math to people signing furniture financing agreements. You explained it to yourself once and never forgot it. At 25 your net worth crosses $40,000. Not because you earned a large salary. Because nothing you owned had a payment attached to it. Every dollar that would have gone to interest went somewhere else instead. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere growing. Tony's net worth at 25 is negative $6,000. Truck loan. Furniture financing. A credit card balance he plans to pay off next month, which has been the plan for 11 months running. He is not reckless. He is simply doing what looked normal to do. You do not judge Tony. You genuinely like Tony. You just quietly notice the gap forming between two people who started at the exact same salary, on the exact same day, out of the exact same college dorm room. At 26, you move to a slightly larger apartment. You pay the deposit in cash. You do not need a co-signer. You do not need a first month free promotion to make it work. The landlord barely remembers your name because you have never once been late on rent. The truck you eventually buy at 26 is the same 2011 truck from the opening scene, bought used for $11,000, paid in full, the day you drove it off the lot. No payment. No interest. No dealership financing office visit. Just a transfer and a set of keys. That truck will still be running, paid off, unremarkable, 26 years later, in the driveway from the opening scene. It has never once cost you a monthly payment. It has never once been a status symbol to anyone. It has simply been a truck. Tony leases a new truck again at 27. Different color. Slightly nicer trim. Payment goes up to $610 a month. He shows you the new truck in the parking lot at work. It is genuinely nice. You say it looks great. It does look great. What Tony does not see is the number on your phone that same week. $68,000. Growing quietly. Growing automatically. Growing without a monthly bill attached to it demanding payment before the 5th of the month. By 26, this is not a sacrifice anymore. It has become identity. You are simply the person who does not finance things. It requires no willpower at this point. It requires the same effort as brushing your teeth. It has become who you are, 4 years in. $68,000 saved and invested. $0 of consumer debt. 0 car payments. 0 furniture financing. 0 credit card interest ever paid. The habit looks like nothing from the outside. It is, in fact, everything. You are 28. Around you, financing has become the default language of adulthood. Cars are financed. Vacations are financed on cards paid off over months. Even weddings are financed with special event loans. You watch this happen from the outside, like whether passing over a town you do not live in. Your coworker Melissa renovates her kitchen using a home equity line of credit. New countertops. New cabinets. $34,000. She shows everyone the photos. It genuinely looks beautiful. Nobody in the photos mentions the interest rate attached to the loan behind the granite. You compliment the kitchen honestly. It is a good kitchen. You do not mention that your kitchen, unrenovated, laminate counters from 1998, has never once cost you a loan payment. Nobody asks about a kitchen that has nothing to say about it. At 29 you buy your first home. Modest. 3 bedrooms. A neighborhood people call starter. You put down 20% in cash, saved over 6 years, so the mortgage is smaller and the interest is lower and private mortgage insurance never enters the conversation. Your neighbor 2 doors down buys a house the same year, twice the price, 5% down, an adjustable rate he does not fully understand. He moves in with a truck full of brand new furniture, all financed, all delivered the same week. You mow your lawn with a mower you bought used for $80 and fixed yourself. It works fine. Nobody has ever complimented your lawn mower. Nobody has ever needed to. At 30 your investment account crosses $200,000. You do not tell anyone. There is no version of a barbecue conversation where this comes up naturally. How's the grill going? And by the way, I have $200,000 invested. Is not a sentence anyone says out loud. The market drops sharply that year. 22% in 6 weeks. Your neighbor with the adjustable rate mortgage panics about his rate resetting. Melissa is nervous about her HELOC payment. You add an extra contribution that month. You are buying, not panicking. Nobody sees the difference. Tony's truck needs a transmission repair. $3,400. He does not have it in savings. He puts it on the credit card he has been meaning to pay off. The balance grows. The minimum payment barely covers the interest. He is not lazy. He simply never built the buffer. Your own truck needs a repair that same year. $1,100. You pay it from a separate account built exactly for this. You do not think twice. You do not feel stress. You simply transfer the money and move on with your Tuesday. At 31 you get engaged. The wedding costs $9,000, paid entirely in cash, saved over 18 months specifically for this. It is a smaller wedding than some of your friends have had. Nobody who attended remembers it as small. They remember it as a good day. A coworker's wedding the same year costs $46,000, financed through a personal loan specifically marketed for weddings. Beautiful venue. Beautiful photos. A monthly payment that will outlast the marriage's first 2 anniversaries. Your net worth at 32 is $340,000. Zero debt except the mortgage, which is below market rate and locked in for 30 years. You have never carried a credit card balance. You have never financed a vehicle. You have never taken out a personal loan. Derek moves into your neighborhood that year. New house. New truck. New boat within 8 months. He waves at you from his driveway. Friendly. Genuine. You wave back. 2 men, similar age, similar income, wildly different balance sheets, standing in driveways 40 feet apart. The boat sits in Derek's driveway most of the year. He uses it 4 times. It is financed for 6 years. The math on the boat, per use, is not something anyone calculates out loud at a barbecue. You do not own a boat. You have been on friends' boats several times. It was fun. You do not need to own the thing to enjoy the thing. This single distinction, applied consistently for a decade, is worth more than most financial advice ever given. At 33, you max out a retirement account for the first time. The habit has scaled with the income. Every raise since 22 has gone partially to lifestyle and mostly to investing. The ratio never changed. Only the numbers got larger. Melissa's HELOC payment increases when the rate adjusts. She mentions it at lunch. Casually, but you can hear the tightness in it. The beautiful kitchen now comes with a monthly reminder attached to it that did not exist the day the photos were taken. You listen to Melissa. You do not offer advice unless asked. You simply say that sounds tough. You mean it. You have never once had a payment adjust upward on you, because you have never had a payment to begin with, apart from the fixed mortgage. By 34, your net worth crosses $600,000. The gap between you and the people financing their lives around you is no longer small. It is no longer even close. And it is still completely invisible to every one of them. You are 35. Derek loses his job in a round of layoffs. He has 3 vehicle payments between his truck and the boat, a mortgage, and less than 1 month of expenses saved. He calls it just bad timing. It is partly bad timing. It is also the structure he built. You have 6 months of expenses sitting in a separate account earning interest, untouched, exactly for a moment like this, except the moment is happening to your neighbor, not to you. You bring him a meal that week. You do not bring up money. Derek sells the boat at a loss to cover 2 months of payments. The truck goes next, traded in for something smaller, still financed, just less of it. He is embarrassed. You tell him it happens to a lot of people. It does. That does not make it easier for him. That same month, your account crosses $750,000. You do not mention it to anyone, especially not this month, especially not to Derek. Some numbers are not meant to be shared just because they exist. At 36, you help Tony, your old college roommate, put together an actual budget for the first time in his life. He is 36 and still paying off furniture he bought when he was 24. The 0% financing ended a long time ago. The balance did not. Tony's face when he sees the real number, the total of every remaining payment across every financed item he owns, is not a face of surprise. It is a face of recognition. He knew. He just never added it all up in one place before. You do not lecture Tony. You show him one thing, the rule from the sticky note at 22. If you cannot pay cash for it, you do not buy it. He writes it on his own sticky note. He puts it on his own fridge. At 37, you cross your first $1 million. It happens on an ordinary Tuesday. You are checking the account before making lunch. The number has a 7-digit look to it now. You close the laptop. You make a sandwich. There is no party. There is no phone call. There is a sandwich, eaten at the same counter you have eaten lunch at for 11 years, in the same modest kitchen that has never once needed a renovation loan. You still drive the same truck. You still use the instant coffee. You still mow your own lawn. The $1 million changes the number on a screen. It does not change a single thing about your Tuesday. Melissa's home gets sold at 38, along with the equity line still attached to the kitchen. The new countertops go with the house. She moves into a rental. Beautiful kitchens do not always survive the loans that paid for them. You run into Melissa at the grocery store that year. She is buying groceries with a calculator app open on her phone, adding items as she goes. You recognize the habit. It is the same habit you started at 22, just starting for her 14 years later. You do not say anything about the past. You say the store brand cereal on aisle 4 is just as good as the name brand. She laughs. It is a small kindness. It costs nothing. It is worth more than it looks. At 39, your net worth crosses $1,500,000. Derek has recovered from the layoff, found new work, and started over with a smaller car, paid mostly in cash this time, and a first real savings account. It took a crisis to teach him what a sticky note taught you at 22. The neighborhood has changed by 39. Some houses have been sold. Some driveways have new families in them. The truck in your driveway is the same truck. Some things are worth staying boring about. A financial advisor cold calls you that year, having found your name through a mailing list. He describes an aggressive investment product with a load fee buried in the fine print. You asked him 3 questions about the fee structure. He stops calling after that. You have never used a financial advisor. Index funds, paid off homes, no debt, and consistency have done more for your net worth than any product anyone has ever tried to sell you. At a work event that year, someone asks what kind of car you drive. You say a truck. They ask what year. You tell them. There is a pause. The kind of pause that assumes something about you that is not true. You let the pause sit there. You do not correct the assumption. Correcting it would require explaining a number nobody at this event needs to know. The truck says what the truck says. The number says something else entirely, quietly somewhere else. By the end of 39, the gap between the appearance and the reality has become the entire story of your adult life. Nobody watching the outside would guess the inside. That has always, quietly, been the point. You are 40. Your son asks why you do not have a nicer truck like his friend's dad. You tell him the truck runs fine and owes nothing to anybody. He does not fully understand yet. He will, eventually. You are not in a hurry to explain it. At a parent-teacher conference, another father mentions his home equity loan for a new addition. He asks what you did to your house. You say not much. He nods, slightly confused, and changes the subject. Your house at 40 has the same laminate counters from when you bought it. It also has 0 mortgage remaining, paid off 11 years early through extra principal payments, made every single month since year 1. Nobody who sees the counters knows that. At 41, your net worth crosses $2,600,000. The number keeps climbing without much daily attention, because the account was designed at 22 to require none. Automatic transfers. Reinvested dividends. Decisions made once, decades ago, still working today. Derek, recovered and rebuilding since the layoff, asked you one afternoon how you always seemed so relaxed about money. You tell him the truth, simply. You never bought anything you could not pay for. He is quiet for a moment. It is a simple sentence. It is also the entire answer. Your daughter starts college at 43. You pay her tuition from a 529 account funded consistently since she was born. No loans required, no co-signing, no interest. Her classmates leave with degrees and debt. She leaves with a degree and nothing owed. At the graduation dinner, another parent mentions the $60,000 in loans their son is walking away with. You do not mention your daughter has none. Some victories are not meant to be compared out loud at a dinner table. At 44, your net worth crosses $3,500,000. You still drive the same truck, older now, past 200,000 miles, still starting every morning. The truck has become something of a joke among your kids' friends. You do not mind. The joke has never once cost you a payment. Tony, now 44 as well, has paid off every piece of debt he once carried, following the same rule from the sticky note. His net worth is not what yours is. It did not need to be. It only needed to stop being negative. It has. At a reunion dinner that year, someone asks the group what everyone drives now. Trucks, SUVs, one electric sedan still under lease. You say the same truck from college. Someone laughs. You laugh too. The laugh does not know what it is laughing at. A financial planner at a work seminar presents a slide about the average American household debt. The number is large. Several people in the room nod, recognizing themselves in it. You do not nod. You simply take notes for the presentation, unrelated to your own life. At 45, you help your son buy his first car. You do not buy it for him. You show him how to save for it the way you did at 22. He buys a used car, in full, in cash, at 19. He tells his friends it is not a big deal. It is the biggest deal of his financial life so far. Derek's son leases a car the same year, co-signed by Derek, who insists on helping even though it stretches his own new budget. Old patterns are hard to fully leave behind, even after learning the lesson once. At 46, your net worth crosses $4,800,000. The house is paid off. The truck is paid off. The kids' educations were paid in cash. There is not a single recurring debt payment leaving your account each month. Every dollar earned stays entirely yours. A coworker who has watched your calm demeanor for 20 years finally asks directly what your secret is. You tell them honestly, no debt, ever, on anything that loses value, and consistent investing in the boring stuff since your 20s. They expected a more exciting answer. There is no exciting answer. There has never been an exciting answer. The exciting answers are the ones that put people in debt trying to look like they already arrived somewhere they have not actually arrived yet. At 47, Melissa, now debt-free after years of careful budgeting since selling her old house, buys a small condo in cash, saved slowly over 9 years. She sends you a photo of the keys. You reply with one word: proud. At 48, your net worth crosses $6 million. You check it the same way you check the weather. Useful. Unremarkable. You close the laptop and go check on the truck, which needs an oil change this weekend, same as always. A younger coworker asks how you plan to spend all that money someday. You tell them the truth, mostly the same way you always have. A house you own. A truck that runs. Food from the store. The money was never about buying a different life. It was about owning this one, fully, without owing anyone for it. Derek, now 48 as well, tells you at a barbecue that he wishes someone had explained all this to him at 22, plainly, without judgment. You tell him it is never too late to start the rule. He nods. He means it this time. Your daughter, now working her first job debt-free, sets up an automatic investment transfer the same week she gets her first paycheck. She read the sticky note growing up. It stuck. A financial reporter, working on a story about hidden millionaires in ordinary neighborhoods, interviews several people on your street without knowing which house to look at. Nobody points to yours. The truck in the driveway gives nothing away. At 49, your net worth crosses $7 million. You still drive to the same grocery store. The same cashier, who has worked there for 15 years, still says have a good one the same way she always has. Nothing about the transaction has ever changed. Tony, debt-free since 44, tells people at gatherings that the best financial advice he ever got fit on a sticky note. Nobody there knows the sticky note came from a college roommate who never once mentioned a number out loud. By 50, the truck has become something of a neighborhood legend, the one that never dies, the one that has outlasted 6 other vehicles on the street. Nobody connects it to the number that has quietly outlasted every neighbor's balance sheet as well. You are 52. On an ordinary Thursday, you check the account one more time before making a decision you have thought about for 3 years. $8,140,000. Zero debt. Zero payments due on anything, anywhere, to anyone. You write an email to your employer. 4 sentences. Thank you for 30 years. Today is your last day. You do not need a severance package. You do not need anything from this company anymore except a clean handoff. You press send. There is no dramatic pause. There is no music swelling. There is a click, and then there is the rest of your Thursday, which now belongs entirely to you, the way every dollar you ever earned always did. You go outside. You check the oil in the truck. Same truck. Same ritual as the opening scene of this entire story. 14 years old when it started. 26 years old now. Still running. Still owing nothing to anybody. Derek walks over the way he always does. He notices something different about your Thursday morning. You tell him you retired this morning. He is stunned, not by the news itself, but by how ordinary your face looks while telling him. Derek asks how. You tell him the truth, the same truth from the barbecue years earlier. No debt on anything that loses value. Consistent investing since 22. Nothing else. He asks if that is really it. You tell him that is really it. You go to the grocery store that afternoon, same store, same aisles, same instant coffee jar you have bought for decades. The woman ahead of you in line is counting coupons carefully. You wait patiently. You are, for the first time in 30 years, in absolutely no hurry to be anywhere else. You pay in cash, the way you have always preferred to for small purchases, out of habit more than necessity now. $31. The cashier says have a good one. You say you will. You mean it more than you ever have. You drive the truck home, windows down, radio low. The gas gauge shows half a tank. You do not think about the price of gas the way you might have at 22. You do not think about money at all, really. That absence of thought is the entire prize. You pass Melissa's condo on the way home. She is on the balcony, watering a small plant, owned outright, paid for in cash, exactly the size she needs and not 1 square foot more. She waves. You wave back. You pass Tony's house, smaller than some on the street, paid off 2 years ago after the sticky note habit finally caught up with the debt he built in his 20s. His truck, older now too, sits in his own driveway. Owing nothing, you pull into your own driveway. Same spot. Same angle. Same house you paid off 11 years early. You sit in the truck for a moment before going inside, the way you always have, letting the engine tick as it cools. Inside, you make the same instant coffee. You sit at the same modest table. The laminate counters have not changed. The number in the account has changed everything and, in the way that matters most, has changed absolutely nothing about who sits at this table. You think about the sticky note from 22. Faded now, still on the fridge, corners curling. If you cannot pay cash for it, you do not buy it. 30 years of one sentence, followed without exception, sitting quietly behind you as $8,140,000. The lesson was never about the truck. It was never about the instant coffee, or the laminate counters, or the boat you never bought. The lesson was that looking successful and being financially free are two completely different projects, and most people are only ever working on one of them. Everyone on the street who financed the visible version of success spent 30 years paying interest on things that lost value the moment they were purchased. You spent 30 years quietly buying ownership of things that gained value while nobody was looking. This is not a story about being cheap. You have taken vacations. You have gone to good dinners. You have given generously to your kids and to people who needed help along the way. Every one of those things was paid for in full, on purpose, without ever costing you a single interest payment. The audience watching this video right now has the exact same rule available to them today, regardless of income. Do not finance things that lose value. Automate the investing before you can spend the difference. Let 30 years do what 30 years is uniquely built to do. It will look like nothing is happening for a very long time. The truck will still be old. The kitchen will still be plain. The coffee will still be instant. That is not the absence of progress. That is exactly what progress looks like while it is still compounding quietly underneath. You finish the coffee. You look out the same window you have looked out of for 30 years. The street looks exactly like it did on day one. Somewhere behind that ordinary window sits $8,140,000, zero debt, and a Thursday morning that finally, fully, belongs to no one but you.